the grand jury declined to bring criminal charges against Cleveland police officers Timothy Lohman and Frank Garmbeck.
We continue to follow breaking news right now. You just heard it. No criminal charges filed against the officers involved in the shooting death of Tamir Rice. The prosecutor's office saying newly enhanced video shows the 12-year-old was removing a gun from his waistband. At any minute, the mayor will respond to this announcement, and our Kristen Volk is live there right now. Kristen begins our team coverage.
Mike, there's a press conference about to start here with the mayor and the chief of police. They should be walking in any second. Now, this comes 2 hours after the prosecutor made the announcement about that grand jury decision. We are told that the mayor and they are coming in right now, so let's give a listen.
Everybody ready? Good, good. Well, as you already know, the grand jury came back with a no indictment in terms of the police officers involved in the Tamir Rice shooting. You know, this has been a long, troubling, trying year for not just the city of Cleveland, but particularly for the Rice family. And I know that they have been pushing for some closure in regards to the criminal side of this. But with this closure, know that the deep pain they must feel even with the closure. So I want to say to the family, the mother in particular, that we're sorry for their loss, and we know that it's been a long process, but we do not intend to add to whatever anxiety or agony that they feel in terms of the process. We're concerned about due process. And now that the criminal side is over with and there's been a determination in terms of the criminal side, we are now going to proceed with the administrative review of what happened, and that will come to the chief, and the chief will start immediately on that process. So I'm going to have the chief come up and really talk to you about that process in general, and then I'll close it out and we'll answer whatever questions you have. All right?
Thanks, Mayor. Well, as the mayor stated, this has been a troubling year, some trying times for the city of Cleveland, but I think that the people in the city have met these times and have stepped up for us and for this city and have pushed for some positive changes that we're in the process of doing. And I think the citizens of this city need to be applauded for that. I think that we're continuing down that road to make sure that things get better in the city, day in and day out. And we don't do that alone. We do it with the assistance of the people in this city. As the mayor stated, now that the county grand jury has concluded, we start our administrative process in this matter with both the officers involved. We are going to reconvene our critical incident review committee. That committee will look at this incident from start to finish. That committee will also take a look at any and all the information that's going to be provided to them by either the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office, the grand jury, or the county prosecutor's office in their review of this incident. Once that's completed, the results of that review will be forwarded to my office, at which time I'll take a look at that, and then we will conclude this process. Now, what that conclusion looks like, none of us know, because this committee has to conduct that investigation, that review. And I don't want to speculate on how long that's going to take. As the mayor stated, this has been a long process already, and we don't want to drag it out unnecessarily, and we won't. This committee will get to work very shortly here. They will take a look at all the evidence. They will take a look at all the testimony, everything that's been put out there so far, and they will forward a recommendation to my office. At that time, we will start our administrative process. I want to, again, send our prayers out, not only to the Rice family, but to the city, and to let people know that we're here, that we're going to get through this again, as we've gotten through other things in the past, and the city will be better off for it. Thank you.
And I do want to emphasize that one of the things that we had been hearing for over this past year was whether or not there was a process or was there a due process. And we're not just going through a process. We are affording due process to everyone involved in this situation. And I believe that when we do that, and we do it in a fair and objective way, then we'll reach whatever conclusion comes out of that due process. But again, this has caused the city of Cleveland, with the loss of a child at the hands of a police officer, to do a lot of soul searching. And in the midst of that soul searching, we have made some changes, not only in terms of our policies, tactics, process, procedure, but we've reached an agreement with the Department of Justice in terms of the consent decree. All this is designed to better ensure that an incident like this would never happen again. Okay? So we'll take whatever questions you have. Yes?
Do you agree with Prosecutor McGinty's conclusion characterizing this as a perfect storm of human error?
Well, I cannot comment on that until the process is finished, because that automatically, when you say that, that automatically concludes something. We're going to go through a process. And you know, Prosecutor McGinty has drawn his conclusion based on the end of his process. At the end of our process, we will have a conclusion. And that conclusion, as I said, will deal with due process for everyone involved.
You have a legal background in prosecuting, some experience in prosecutor's office. I mean, do you agree this is the appropriate outcome or not?
I'm not going to comment on that. You know, again, you're asking me to comment and get, because whatever I say, you're going to draw a conclusion from that as to what, and when I say that and you draw the conclusion, then it has tainted our process. I'm not going to be having those kind of conversations, just as we haven't had them in the past. We're not going to have them now. Only thing I can assure you and the public and the Rice family, that this will not just be a process, this will be due process. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Chief, who makes on the review committee, and you said you didn't want to drag this out, so what is the time frame that you're hoping to achieve this conclusion?
Well, again, I also commented that I don't want to put a time frame on it because the committee has a lot of work to do.
It starts right away?
Yes, it starts right away. And that committee is made up of members of the division. We also have members of the public, of the community that are on that committee. I can get you a full list of the committee members, but it's basically the same committee that was put together during the Brillo incident, the chase of November 29th. So we'll give you that list of people that are on it, but they have a system to go through to get through all the evidence, and they have to review that evidence, and then they have to make sure that they come to conclusions based on that evidence. And then that's presented to me, and then we go from there.
Are you pertaining to the discipline or potential discipline of the officers that were involved in the shooting?
All right, there is potential discipline if there is a violation of our policies, our procedures, yes.
Are Loman and Garback working in some cars and districts?
Both of the officers are and will remain on restricted duty. They've been on restricted duty since this incident happened. That's part of our process, not to allow officers involved in critical incidents to go back out there into the fray. They will remain on restricted duty until we complete the administrative process.
Chief, will there be any other state positions looked at besides these two officers during this review process?
We'll look at the incident from start to finish. Anybody that was involved, from our communications center to the officers themselves, to people involved afterwards, giving care, that kind of thing, we'll look at the incident from start to finish.
Well,
Thank you.
Sorry, question. Is the dispatcher, Constance Hollinger, still employed?
I don't want to get this mixed up, but there's a dispatcher involved and also a call taker. And those are two separate functions, and one of those persons has resigned from the city of Cleveland.
Which one?
Again, I don't want to confuse them, so I don't want to give you that name right now. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Mayor, I was wondering if you have any word for the people of Cleveland who kind of might not like this decision and are inclined to express their interest in the streets through protest. And Chief, I'm curious if you're increasing the amount of officers on the streets, in the next few days.
Well, everyone has a right. Everyone has a right as part of the constitutional right of being in America and a citizen of America to express yourself in a way when you feel that you've been grieved or you disagree with something. Where your right in is when you intend to do harm to people or property. And we have taken that position in the past, and it's the same position that we have now. That people have a right to demonstrate, people have a right to protest, people have a right to have an opinion, whether I agree with it, you agree with it, or whoever agrees with it. It is their right to be who they are and to say what they want to say, even if they have agendas that are contrary to what they're talking about, right? But it's their right. Where that right stops is when they do or intend to do harm to people or property, and then that's when the chief gets involved. Chief.
Chief, there was some discoveries.
Yeah, on the part two, he was asking about your point.
Yeah, just to answer your question, I mean, our posture hasn't changed when it comes to these type of situations. Our posture hasn't changed. The mayor hit the nail on the head. We will respect people's rights. We will ensure people's First Amendment rights to protest and to get out there and be heard. But we will not at any time accept any property or violence in the city, period. We won't do it.
Sorry.
There were some discoveries that came out in the McGinty conclusion that indicated that the police cars that the officers ran are not equipped first aid equipment and things of that nature, that this particular officer was not trained, was not, was let go of his last job. How does someone like this wind up in a situation like this? Was he also a victim in this situation?
Well, again, that's why we convened the Critical Incident Review Committee. And again, they're going to look at the incident from start to finish, top to bottom. As you know, and we put this out about a week and a half ago, every car within the division is equipped with a first aid kit. 1,400, and I think the last count was 80 officers have been trained in first aid. I go next week myself. So that's all part of the review for the Critical Incident Review Committee.
But to your point, your first part of the question, not the second part, is that when I mentioned about soul searching and really looking at ourselves, because when you do real soul searching, real inner perspective kind of things to see what could I have done as an individual, what could we have done to make this outcome different. One of the things we concluded was exactly what your question is, and that is that we have some officers trained in first aid. We had officers who were not trained in first aid. Some cars were equipped, some cars were not. Now, every car is equipped with first aid kits. Not only that, they now have this particular gauze that they use to stop bleeding, and they use it in the military. It's very effective, I hear, and that we have trained almost every officer now has been trained in first aid, basic first aid, but also in the use of these life-saving things that we now have available. So, yes, we recognized our shortcoming in regards to that, and so we took action.
Mayor Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make a call to the Rice family and you talked to his mother, Tamir Rice, today since the grand jury decision?
No, I have not. No, I have not. I have, however, over this year expressed our as a city and my personal condolence, I think about 3 times. Once with their first set of attorneys, in the second with, and I think there was another attorney that we spoke to.
You've spoken to the representatives.
I spoke, right, and I offered speak to the mother and the family if possible, but if they were not feeling like they wanted to speak, or if it wasn't the right time, I did ask them to extend our sympathy for their loss.
Is the city being sued by the family?
Oh, yeah.
So it would not be, it wouldn't be most appropriate if you were to have a conversation with the
Well, there's, if you were my lawyer, you would tell me that. But if you are a parent, I mean, you know, there's a way in which you can express what you need to express, and I think we've done that through their representatives in order to ensure what you're talking about. Yes.
Mayor and Chief, how do you think this outcome is going to impact the ongoing efforts to build and strengthen trust between the community and the police department?
It is. That is why I keep emphasizing to you that we are working on due process, not process. One of the biggest problems that we're having, not just in Cleveland but throughout this country, is that people believe you're just going through the process and you're checking the box and you say, I've gone through the process, and by the way, this is the conclusion. And people really don't believe that, whether it's factual or not, they really do not believe that the system is conducting itself in a way that they believe it is fair and due process. What I find that if people believe that you're doing the right thing, your intent is to do right, and that you're conducting yourself in an honest way, and you're doing due process as it's supposed to be, they know that maybe they may not agree with you, but they cannot say you didn't do the right process, due process. So that is why we work so hard, and why I cannot answer your questions, because I would taint the due process in any way. Whether I said something positive or negative, it would lead to question whether or not our process is fair. And I simply cannot do that. What I can promise the public is that we will conduct our process in a legal, honest, transparent way, and it will incorporate due process in all of the procedures as we move forward. And that's the only thing I cannot guarantee. I cannot guarantee an outcome because I don't know what that outcome is. If I did, then all I'd be doing is going through a process, checking a box, and going through that process to justify an outcome I've already reached. And we have not done that. And we're going to do this, and we're going to do it the right way. So that's my answer to the public, because the public is not, they don't believe that the system has been fair with them, and in many ways, and I'm not just talking about in Cleveland, I'm talking about nationwide. And there's a real legitimate sense of lack of fairness and a lack of justice on behalf of people who have been in some way harmed by the system. There's a legitimate concern there, and we don't want to be part of that. We don't want to be part of that. Anybody else before we, Layla?
I just want to ask, just to be clear, Chief, so both the call taker and the dispatcher, they have not been disciplined, nor have their roles in the incident been evaluated, analyzed. It's going to be part of the...
That's part of the Critical Incident Review Committee. And again, don't quote me because I'm not sure, but either the dispatcher or the call taker has already resigned from the city of Cleveland. So
How recent was that?
we can get you that later, but that person has already left the employee of the city. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Cleveland Police Chief Calvin Williams and Mayor Frank Jackson addressing the media, acknowledging that it has been a long, troubling, trying year for the city of Cleveland and the family of Tamir Rice after a grand jury decides no criminal charges for those officers involved in that shooting. The due process underway right now, and those officers facing administrative review. That is happening within the department right now.